I just consented to being live streamed.
Dan, how are you, Dan?
Good, Mitch. How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good,
Dan.
Mitch. How are you?
Oh, we got Dan.
We got Dan's all over the place. Dang. Hold on there, bud.
I'd say Dan to the second power, but we're not equals. I'm not nearly as strong as he is. So
No way.
It's good seeing you, Dan.
You too. Can't wait to ride. Starting to get that temperature.
Oh yeah, buddy.
I got in 40 on Sunday out there, and another 16. Yeah, 16 this morning.
Wow.
I love being out there.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a great time to be there.
Was it? I heard it was going to get warm on Sunday. I was out of town. Did it get warm?
Oh yeah. Nice.
Well, let's give it a little bit more time. It's 6:31. Dan's man. Oh Lord. 10 people said going. You know how that is.
Yeah, it says 11 now.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. Where's Ted and Sean?
Oh, well, you know, that's all right.
I thought there would be more people on this.
I did too, but you know, stuff happens. People are change. That's the downside of going, I guess. Let's see.
We're competing with great weather. People are out
Well,
walking.
you know what? You're right. It's soccer night, right? Oh gosh. Oh, I'll give it. Let's see here. I want to make sure I got everything up.
Hey Mitch, what's unfortunate? We probably should jump in, because if this is actually recording, people won't go through these 3 or 4 minutes to get to the substance.
Yeah, let's go. I agree. I agree. All right. Well, let's go. And we got an audience of 1. I love it. Well, thank you, Dan. Oh, man. Well, there's the club logo, buddy. Yeah, buddy. All right. Let's go forward. Welcome, Dan. We're your host, Mitch Baker and Dan Catalano. Okay, welcome to we're members of the training squad, and I'm going to get you on that squad eventually. You gotta jump in there and help us lead some rides, Dan. So we're gonna
do that.
All right. Well, we're gonna hold you to that. Don't hesitate to ask questions during the presentation. Mute your phone if you're not speaking. We'll go. That's not really necessary if it's for an audience of 1, but we'll work with you. All right. And here's what we're going to cover, Dan. Hey, there's Mark Gross. Hey, Mark. All right. Anyway, this is what we're going to cover: the tracker, the race tracker, Google form.
Yep.
What races are designated as CTC featured races in 2023? What is the CTC race day event page, which we're going to show you examples of that, and how you can use the CTC race day event page. Hey, Mark Gross, you're on mute, buddy, but you can join us if you wish. All right. Okay. All right. Well, first off, I want to make sure it's understood kind of like what happened in the past, because I think that kind of helps explain why we're doing what we're doing. And one of the things is, number one, leadership of CTC. We didn't have any idea as to how many people were racing at a race event. We made assumptions. We didn't know where people were racing. It was kind of hit or miss. If Dan, you probably recall, somebody would throw out a post on our basic Facebook page and say, hey, I'm doing Deer Creek. Anybody else doing it? And 20 or 30 posts later, you know, we kind of had an idea. So number one, we wanted to get a better idea as leadership as to who was going to what races, how many, because that then led into what races are we going to be supporting, okay? So that was important. And also a lot of our members wanted to know how and who was racing, all right? So that was important. A lot of people would come to us or post and say, hey, who's racing what and where? Maybe I can bum a ride, things of that nature. You know, we can go together, but it was very disjointed and difficult to corral, put things together. And again, as I said before, people would just toss out Facebook comments, and there could be 3 or 4 different comments about the same race. And so you really had a fracturing of what was going on. Okay. All right. So as part of our community improvement, first thing I want to show you with Dan and I put together what we call the race tracker. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing here for a second, and I want to show it to you. Hey, Mark. All right. This is on a Google form. We're going to be pushing out the link to this particular form. Okay. And I do want to stress that this is the first year we're doing this. So this is really a work in progress. So kind of keep that in mind. And we are very open to suggestions, edits, changes, what have you, as we go through this. Okay. But this is where we want to start. And so the first thing is you'll get the link to this particular form. And one of the things we want to stress is because this is new, we don't want to put a lot of road races or Xterra races or mud races, kind of keeping it to triathlon and duathlon. Now, we do have an exception, and that is the pig. That is the only road race that we're going to list this year because it is extremely popular, and we want to have a really good count as to how many people are going to be doing the pig. Okay. So,
Hey, Mitch,
yes, sir.
just making you aware, if you were attempting to share the
I am
file,
going. Thank you.
It's not up yet. Okay.
Up. I will do so. Thank you. There it is. Let me know if you can see it. Mark Gross, we're so glad you joined us.
Hey guys, sorry I was a little late getting in there, but
That's all right. That's
good
all
stuff.
right. Okay. Here's the form. Okay. Kind of explains what it's all about. Again, we want to keep it the triathlon and duathlon. If there is a race you would like us to consider posting on this form, all we would ask is that you email me the name of the race, the location, city, and the date. The date is important, okay? We got to have the date so we can put it in chronological order with all the other races and so forth. So if you think of a race that we may have overlooked, what have you, that's where you want to send me that information. Now, there are certain key races that are relatively local that CTC, we call them feature races, that we are going to provide race support at in terms of a flag, tents, water, snacks. We kind of know about these because historically these races have been very popular. So we're going to go ahead and list those as support races. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We also know there are a lot of races out there that a lot of people may be going to that are not a featured race. I'll give you a good example. I think last year, Memphis, we had like 8 to 10 people attend Memphis. We had 10 people, I believe, go to Kona. Okay. So when we find out that information, we may approach somebody going to that race to see if they would be willing to put up a tent or put up a flag, maybe, kind of be a central point, because what we've learned in our surveys is people like gathering together the day of the race. It's a social thing, right? Or to get together after the race. So if we can provide a symbol, a flag or a tent or something, so people can gather at a central location, that helps the community experience, okay? So again, just want to stress, this is for triathlon and duathlon only at this point. And so I'm going to take you through the form. It's very simple. It's going to ask for your name. It's going to ask for your email. It's going to ask for your phone number. Okay. And then we listed all of the races that we are aware of, both local races as well as Ironman. Okay, in this particular example, I clicked on the pig. As you can see by the asterisk, that's a CTC approved, no, not approved, but a race that we definitely have agreed that we're going to provide support. HFP, the first Deer Creek is a very popular race, so we'll be there. We'll also be at the, this is important. This is a HFP and CTC, again, will be doing support for this race. We're, what is it, Dan? We're sponsors at this particular race. Queen City Tri at Caesars Creek, a very popular race last year. Even despite the weather, the crappy weather, we had a really good showing of people and a really good social. USAT Tri Louisville. Okay, Tri Louisville is very popular. We'll have race support there. And then Zoom, we're going to do the Cincinnati Triathlon Multisport at Caesars Creek with Zoom. And then end of the season for a lot of people is the HFP Deer Creek Ohio Fall Challenge. But as you can see, there's quite a number of Ironman races that go all the way into the December. Okay. Again, you would go in and you would click on the races that you've registered for. And if you got a strong inclination, maybe you didn't register for it yet, but you got a pretty good idea that you're going to go to that race, go ahead and click on it. Okay. All right. And then you just submit the form. All right. And you should get a message that we received your race plan on doing in 2023. Save the link below, which can be used to edit your registration up until the registration closing date. Okay. And the closing date has been pushed out forever. So don't be concerned, but just kind of hold on to that because things change, right? You may want to sign up for another race or you want to change a race. So just keep that particular edit and response. Okay. All right. Any questions so far about the race tracker itself?
Maybe I missed it. Where do we access the race tracker? Is it on the webpage?
I'm going to send a link and yes, good question, Mark. Thank you. Yes, we're going to post it on both Facebook, put it in the newsletter, email it out because we really want to encourage people to use this. Okay. All right. Now,
so I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if I list out my races now, a month later, I decide I'm not going to do that race.
Yep.
How do I access it?
You should be receiving an email with this, right? This, can you see that? Yes. It says edit your response. You just click on that link. All right. And it'll take you back to your form and you can change it. You can unclick. You can unclick races. All right.
Okay. So I got to hang on to the email.
Let's see, Dan, yeah. Or worst case scenario, get hold of me and I can help you. But that we wanted to design so that you could go back and edit, but you're going to have to hold on to that link. Okay.
Is this a Google Doc?
Yes, it is. It is a Google Doc.
All right.
All right. Like Dan, I know you'll probably click every Ironman race out there. Okay.
Dan Flesh Hour, that is, by the way.
Dan. Yeah. Okay. Well, like it says here, save the link below, which you can be used to. Okay. So just save it in your favorites, what have you. Okay. All right. All right. Let me show you what else and just kind of a behind the scenes kind of thing. So you're aware. 1 second, please. All right. 1 second. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. 1 second. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. What we do is, as you can see here, all right, this is behind the scene. Now, what I, as a leadership person, is I can go in there and I can see, okay, who's responded, their emails. Sean Walsh didn't put his email in, their phone number, and then we can get a pretty good idea as to the number of races that people are doing. Okay.
Oh, cool.
The nice thing is I can then go to settings or responses. I'm able to pull a data sheet. Now, the reason that we set it up that way is there have been times people have written to me and said, hey, I'd like a listing of everybody going to a particular race. And this information, then you could have the name, their phone number, their email. And that's, the next phase of this is the race page itself. So this gives us that ability to provide information for people, or a lot of, and I'll show you what we'll do with that. Okay. Any questions about that? It's just kind of like behind the scenes, but it gives us some robust data to work with. Plus, I can easily go in here and say, okay, we got 40 people doing Ohio half Ironman, okay, or 70.3. If we got that many people, then, Sean and I and others need to work towards possibly getting somebody up there. I believe it's in Sandusky again, to provide support. Okay, so things like that can happen. Muncie's another one is out there. Okay, all right. Any questions on that? All right, let me show you the next thing. Can you see my screen where it says example only?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what we will do for races, okay, is, and this is the community builder too. We'll set up a page for the day of that race. I mean, as an event, of course, it'll be posted out there and you can see it and you will get invited to it. All the CTC members can get invited to it, and any CTC member can participate on this page, which is kind of cool. But this is a great idea that Dan brought to my attention, that he had seen others like USAT and Ironman, like Ironman Arizona had their own event page, right? Like you go there and all their communications and so forth about that particular race was available on that page. Well, we're going to set this up for CTC members, okay? And this is your forum. Like, let's just say, for example, this is a picture from Mojo. Let's say this is Mojo, and we set this up, and everybody who's going to Mojo or who is interested in following the race at Mojo, it could, not everybody races, but some people may be interested in that particular race, would be able to say they're going. And then you can use this particular page to have all your communications and so forth within this page. All right. We encourage people, post your pictures, post your race story. Some people have used it. We did a test page last year and somebody said, hey, I need a ride, or, hey, I got a parking space near the start line if anybody wants it. You can share information about the course itself. Okay, so this race page is for you. We've had some people say, hey, I want to get together with everybody before the race for dinner or afterwards. So this could be a place where they could throw a message out there and say, hey, does anybody want to meet us at, whatever, at this such and such a time before the race? So this is the page set up for that purpose. And then another big thing that people really liked, it was really cool, is we can use this to post, hey, this is when and where we're going to be taking the team photo. Like this is the one we did at Mojo, right? Where are you, Dan? I know you're in there somewhere.
I'm right up front.
There you go. There he is. Mark, did you do Mojo? I can't remember.
Not last year. I didn't know. I wasn't there.
Okay. But again, that team photo for camaraderie, I mean, it's really cool when we can capture that. So this page will post a message saying, hey, we're meeting at, 7:30 at the CTC tent, and so forth. Okay. So this will be set up for the races. It is the page for racers, members to use, as Dan brought up a very good point to me. He said, hey, this is not just for people racing. This could be for anybody interested in that race. And they maybe didn't register for it, but if they follow hey, man, I may go register for this race. So anybody, because it goes out to everybody in CTC that can join in on this page. It'd be really cool if we could develop this to where people do share their post-race experiences and so forth. So, okay. Are there any questions about the race page or the event page? And again, work in progress. So hopefully we'll do a good job keeping these updated and so forth as races develop. Okay. All right. What questions do you have, or observations or comments? Anything?
So I got a question. So
Please.
I saw that list there, and there's like races that CTC sponsors and stuff.
Yes.
That I'd be interested in going up and, like, if you want to just do support, like if you want to go to Deer Creek and just, be support
Mm-hmm. Good
for that
question.
CTC race.
Okay.
Is there a position for that you can, hey, I want to go and volunteer?
Hey, Dan, Dan,
go ahead.
what I would suggest here is click that. But the beauty is, once you go to this next thing on the specific event or race, now you're in that little micro ecosystem, and you can make it clear that you're not going to be racing, but you're going to go there and you're going to volunteer and be like support or something.
Right.
So
you could add a post right there and say, hey,
I'll be volunteering and whatever at the tent if anybody needs anything and so forth.
Yeah.
That's one way we could do it, short of having, more delineation in the sign up, Dan, as an option.
I like that. Yep. Yeah. You could click on that race, and if you post that, that's a really good option, because, if there are people willing, to help out with race support, that'd be great. One thing I was thinking about, Dan, is Dan Catalano, is, there may be spouses or significant others who might want to provide race support. That could be provided here as well.
Right.
So click on the race, and
that's the advantage of this. So the Google Race Doc, let's be clear, that Google Race Doc is for CTC leadership, for them to figure out, it's the critical scale, right? The critical mass. They want to make sure that they have support and are providing services at events where it makes good sense based on the membership and where they're gravitating towards racing in numbers or volumes. The other piece with regard to on Facebook and having a specific little ecosystem, race or event specific, is so that we can have a micro collaborative tool for everything and anything regarding that event.
Yep.
Dan, you were at Nationals last year. I don't know if you clicked on the USAT Nationals age group. And Mark, I know from riding with you a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday, you had been there before yourself. They have that special little ecosystem. And I mean, there's beautiful information, water quality, water temperatures get posted, hotels in the area, restaurants recommended. It could be anything we want it to be, but it's interactive, it's dynamic, and it's a collaborative, it's collaboration for those people interested or participating, bar none. There's no rules outside of that.
Yeah. So the event page that comes out to everybody in CTC that can click on, because I belong to a dozen Ironman sites, like
when we set up when we set up an event, as an administrator, I can set up an event. It gives me the option to invite everybody on CTC. Now, obviously, if it's doesn't interest you, you just delete it, the invitation. But this way, everybody can get invited, and then people make their decision if that's their race that they're going to or interested in. Then they can click going, and of course they can then follow everything that, I like Dan's expression, micro environment, because in the past, as we all know, it was kind of Wild West on our Facebook page. Everything was everywhere. You didn't know who was going to what or when, or there was no collaboration. And we think this will provide an avenue for that. But yeah, Dan, you'll get invited. And if it's not your race, you just delete it.
So will the invitation come through like all the other ones, under the notification section on Facebook where we,
Yes.
Ms. Baker invited you to an event, it'll show up there and you just log in. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
All
In
right.
fact, what we'll do is what you'll see is CTC race day event page, and then I'm going to put the name of the race behind it. Okay, right here. That way, you can differentiate it from a regular training event. Okay, we got to make sure we do that,
Right.
because that way people know, okay, this is race day versus long ride Sunday or what have you. So
Okay. Yeah. Your
cool.
4.5 hour Hillsbilly that you're doing.
Oh, all right.
So
Well,
Dan,
go ahead.
Dan, just a quick question for Dan. So with you saying that you sign up for a number of, let's call it the Ironman little micro environment, Facebook event pages, Dan, do you find value like on a scale 1 to 10? Are you happy with most of those and the kind of special information you get for those events versus just being on an Ironman website?
Yeah, because like I've gone to like Ironman Chattanooga and Ironman Florida, and as it gets closer to the race, you can see the excitement building, and people are posting about what the water temperature, what's going on. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what that in a nutshell, that's what we're hoping to deliver to the membership for our local events, because even Cedar Creek, they have water quality stuff, readings, they have the temperatures that, once you get that link and it's there, guess what? Everybody now has access to it, and it won't be buried in our entire Facebook page from 2 weeks or 2 months ago. And you're like, shit, I can't find it. I know it was on there.
Yeah. And another thing, it builds excitement too, because you're looking at that stuff, you're saying, man, look at all the excitement. I think I'll sign up for that race.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, yep, very good. Yep. All right. Well, I don't have anything more. Dan, do you?
No, I'm in a good
Mark
place.
and Dan Fleschauer, thank you for joining in on the call. We did videotape or whatever. Videotape. Boy, I'm old. This has been Facebook Live, so it will be available for the members out there. And it's going to take some time to catch on, I know. But we will be getting out the link to the Google form. Okay, so you can start going in there and clicking on your races and getting registered. So thank you for joining the call. Thank
Love
you
it.
both. All right. Well, listen, you guys have a good rest of your evening, and happy training. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Dan. See you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you guys.